Okay, hi guys. Welcome back to another HPLC tutorial. Sorry for the delay in uploading the video. Last time what we had done was the part 1 of HPLC and hemoglobinopathies. I have finished with dealing with the hemolytic anemia part of the entire lecture, and I am and this is the of course the sickle cell disease part is left, but this part of HPLC interpretation is very important, both in thalassemias and sickle cells and other variant hemoglobinopathies that you come across. So I had promised you that I'm going to take up some cases, some graphs of HPLC, so that you can get attuned to what an HPLC graph looks like. And I'm not teaching you the principles of HPLC as such, or how to plot a graph or make a graph. I'm just teaching you what part of the graph is read, and clinically, practically, what points are of use to you. So keeping that in mind, since the HPLC part is a little big, so I am not giving you too much intro every time I give a small presentation on HPLC. You can discuss with me whatever problems you have on the messenger. As I've already said, some of you keep doing that also. However, I'm going to quickly move on to the last few remaining cases. I had discussed up to case 4 some basic principles on how a HPLC graph looks, and where do the definite hemoglobin bands elute in the HPLC graph, or even in electrophoresis graph. I have shown you the images before. I'm going to show you some images right now again, and then we are going to move on to the final few cases. So this graph I have kept. Why? Because I have omitted everything in between, where what is an HPLC, what pattern of HPLC, I mean how you perform, what are the parts of an HPLC machine, and all that I have already discussed. So I just quickly want to wrap up HPLC by showing you a few more graphs. I've shown you the main graphs, that is of thalassemias, etc., in the last lecture only. So I just want to wrap up HPLC with a few other common as well as uncommon HB pathies, as well as what other uses of HPLC do we have in medical practice, not in routine basic sciences. I'm going to show you the graphs quickly, and then so that this will be a kind of a small handbook for you, a video log kind of a thing, where you can quickly refer to what a graph looks, where we see the basic values and how we interpret. So this part is very, very important. I've told you multiple times. You need to remember that from the cathode to the anode in an alkaline medium, if you are performing an electrophoresis, I'm talking about electrophoresis. Why I'm talking about electrophoresis is because part of this concept remains in HPLC2, and there comes the role of immunofixations. All right. In electrophoresis, the one of the drawbacks was that there are certain HB bands which elute in one position. So you will not be able to diagnose which exact HB pathy the patient has. You can just say ki, okay, it is eluting in this position, X position. So these are the probabilities, correlate clinically. HPLC, eased this thing up a bit, but there's still even in HPLC a few bands which elute at the same position. For that remembrance, you need to remember what bands elute at the same position in the electrophoresis. So from cathode to anode in an alkaline medium, A2, C, E, and O, that is HbA2, HbC, HbE, and HbO, they elute in the same position. Now I have memorized it by just making it like it's A2CEO. CEO is a like short abbreviation to the chief executive officer, and then you remember the first hemoglobin that comes is A2, and the second is at SDG. They elute in the same position. Now you can remember it any way you want. I don't know. These letters together, they're imprinted in my mind, so I remember it like that: SDG and A2CEO, and F and A elute separately. While in acidic medium, A2, DEG, they elute in the same position. Now this thing of alkaline, you need to remember more, because the routine graphs that we get, the problem in HPLC is that sometimes D and G, they will elute in the S window. And there you have to correlate clinically, or give a rider in your report that the person should correlate this, the clinician, and then move ahead with the treatment. Of course, this I've already taken the various types and of pathies, as well as the position in which the amino acid position where the problem occurs. You need to remember it. That's I've taken that what are the parameters that you have to look at in while interpreting HPLC. Clinical history is most important, but the retention time is what, and the percentage calculated after the retention time is what is most important. Again, I've shown you these various windows. S is for sickle, D hemoglobin D. I just showed you SDG. Similarly, what is good here is like A2CEO in electrophoresis is in one column, but here the C is separate, the A2 is separate. All right. E elutes in A2. So now that is a drawback of HPLC, which जो electrophoresis may be and that could not be overcome by HPLC. So then hence comes the immunofixation, and for of course then there are genetic mutation studies that you need to perform. So coming back, this is the normal graph. This is case 5. The F concentration is 1.2% normal, A2 is 3.1. Now compare it with the graph over here. Here you can see that F is 0.7, slightly reduced. A2 is 1.4, again reduced. So means there's something which is away from the normal pattern. The alpha, delta, alpha, beta, alpha, gamma, away from this pattern. And you get something of a graph over here, this thing in the D window. All right, I just changed markers so that I can mark it out for you. Over here you are not getting, but over here you're getting a graph, and this is the D window. So probably this is hemoglobin D. All right, so SDG, if you remember, these used to overlap in the electrophoresis. Here you will get a window separately so that you can see, okay, this is some variant which you are not able to pick up in electrophoresis. Okay. So coming to the case 6, again you have this normal graph over here. I don't need to go on about it. Now you see that you're getting the F concentration is raised and the A2 is not, you are not able to interpret the A2, and you see their graphs. There are another small peak over here. All right. And there was just single peak over here, and then there are two graphs over here. This concentration of A2 has decreased a lot. So now what we need to I mean, instead of interpreting too much of the graph, what I go personally is for this. I'm getting an S window as well as a D window, means there is some component of S or D. So you remember SDG, they used to elute in the same window. So SD are separated in HPLC, but G is not. So when you are getting a D window as well as an S window, which you can see here do not get in a normal patient, then of course this becomes a hemoglobin G Philadelphia, which includes the SDG, the HBG pathy, and also known as HBG Philadelphia, which elutes in the D window. And normally the patient will have some mild anemia, and the CBC will be normal for the patient. Okay, and it could be a double heterozygous correlation where the HBG is associated with SC. Of course, it elutes in the D window, but it is actually HBG. So this happens because of the speed and the overlap of the HB molecule. For D and G is almost similar. Okay, so this is this graph where you get both a D and S window with a more percentage in D. Always think that is either a hemoglobin G Philadelphia, and of course take clinical history, and then you can move ahead. Okay, coming to the next here, you see there's just no D, nothing, just a simple S window. The F is increased and even is so as the A2. So this is HBS, sickle cell disease. Okay, case 8, you will see that there is a C window. So I had told you G can come with S or C, and it elutes in D window. S and C can occur together as heterozygous anemia. So there's some sickling component mutation as well as hemoglobin C, and hemoglobin C in peripheral smear looks like hexagonal crystals. So this is actually HBC pathy. So these are things that you will come across, and of course you need to know about the amino acid mutations in this. Other rare variants you will get is some unknown windows. There are a lot of HB Sindh, HB Punjab, HB Orissa. There are a lot of variations, and if you have a Biorad machine or any other machine, This thing is not sponsored by Biorad. Routinely we use the D10 Biorad in all labs almost. So if you have those machines, then slowly you can interpret the different variants. What you have to look, what is helpful to me is this table, and I always compare it with a normal table. So, okay, in other, where else can you use that? You can use HPLC and HbA1c calculation. Less than 5 is normal, and there are a few cases which will show you increased peak of HbA1c, and you will get that over here. And this is what you have to see. You might get an S window in some cases, but this is not related with A1c. This could be accompanying, or you need to investigate what percentage and what attention time it is. And this is mainly to just show you how HbA1c looks. There are some more cases, 5.9%, 8.9%. They're just HbA1c different concentrations. And then again another graph showing you what a control looks like, and this is a case over here. This is the HbA1, plus you'll get, if you calculate the multiple graphs, you'll get this an extra peak as the HbA1c increases over here. Okay, the glucose hinders actually, again same thing. So I'm just moving ahead because, all right, this is just electrophoresis exam question actually, that when in an alkaline medium, the first hemoglobin, this is not related with HPLC, the first hemoglobin to precipitate is C followed by SFA, while in an acid medium it is F followed by ASC. You can remember it as FASC in acid, because this is an exam question for electrophoresis. Of course, genetic analysis for other hemoglobins like G Georgia etc. important. And this is just a bit about double heterozygous, when I showed you that you get an S and a C window together, so you can think about G Georgia. So this is my conclusion. Basically, I have just wanted to make it crisp and small. What you do need to remember is the graph, that the electrophoresis chart that I showed you. Second, the table you need to interpret very carefully what windows you are getting and take clinical history. Third, remember which hemoglobins elute at the same position. Fourth, in electrophoresis, in which medium C precipitates first and in which medium F precipitate first. This is basically, and what are the confounders which will give you a problem in graph interpretation, like high blood glucose level is one confounder which will give you a problem in interference in graph interpretation. So thank you, and I hope this was of some help to you, and I'll see you next time with a cytopathology video.